Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to Tekpon. Today our guest is Sri, the co-founder and CEO at Rocketlane. Hello.
Hey, hi Christian. Nice to be here on the show with you.
Thank you for joining our podcast. At first, please tell us what Rocketlane does.
Sure. So, Rocketlane is software purpose built for teams that do project based services work. So, it could be an implementation team inside a tech company or SaaS company, it could be a IT services company, it could be a marketing agency, anyone who does project based work for clients.
Yeah,
And the software, what it does, I would say there's two sides to it. The front of house side is helping you in the collaborative execution on projects with customers. So the project management, document collaboration, conversations, feedback from the customers, governance around it, all of that. And then there is a back of house part to it, which is, how do you staff the right people on the project? How do you track their efforts? How do you invoice the customer the right amount for the services delivered, etc. So you sort of all in one intelligent software for services teams.
amazing. And who would you say is the ideal customer, the ideal company that has this problem and needs Rocketlane in order to solve their solution?
I would say anyone who wants to standardize and scale the way they're offering their services and delivering on their services with customers. It so happens that a lot of our customers today are either uh, you know professional services teams, implementation teams inside SaaS and tech companies. That's a majority, and then there's also consulting firms, including like a ESG consulting or IT services, IT consulting, etc. Those two would be the top two segments for us.
I see. And in the platform, what would you say are the most loved features, the most used features that the customers use?
I think that changes with time because every new thing we introduce has been more
Yeah.
loved than what was before. But we have this concept of early warnings inside the product where you can configure. Uh, think of it as signals that come to you based on things going off track in a project, etc. So leadership gets alerted faster to problems
Mm,
in project delivery, and it also has a built-in escalation matrix around it so that depending on the severity of what's happening, can the notifications go to different people. And I think that's very well liked and adopted. And then there is the latest, everyone loves the Gen AI feature, so we now have new capabilities called AI fills, which allows you to automatically fill content inside either documents or emails based on what's happening in a call. So it could be a handoff document, it could be a post meeting summary email you need to send, or a weekly email that you need to send, and it's able to draw from calls you were on customers, take that content and use it to generate these documents, emails, etc.
I see. And I'm curious now, if today companies would not use a solution like Rocketlane, what would be the main problems that they face?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is accountability with a customer, where there's oftentimes finger pointing about why things are not on track
All right.
with the project, and problems are surfaced too late for leaders to jump in and help because of the lack of visibility again. So visibility and accountability leading to unhappy situations to deal with. And I think one of the biggest innovations that we got started off with was this beautiful branded customer portal, which helps keep everyone on the same page. And customers follow their journey, give their feedback, all of that through that portal. So it becomes the UX for your partnership with the customer. Maybe I should
Right.
have said this is like the most loved thing because that's the core
Yeah.
of what is really
Yes.
differentiated. But
The
I've taken
communication.
it for granted, given that's why everyone buys us.
Yes, absolutely. And can you share any success stories or case studies that you have with your existing customers?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of companies where we've sort of gone in and moved them from multiple tools into one piece of software that we offer. A couple of examples would be, I would say, Live Person is a company where they were on a separate PSA and project management tool. We went in, help them consolidate everything into one, and
Nice.
they're loving the experience. OpenGov, one more where I feel they've really enjoyed coming on the platform, and I was just talking to the leader earlier today, and that's why it's fresh in my mind, where he had only good things to say about how the team appreciates the product and how it's helping him from an exec perspective as well.
Amazing, amazing. How about the pricing? How does it work?
The pricing is based on number of internal users and partners. We don't charge for our customer's customer. So for the customer portal access, any number of people can access it for free.
Nice.
Internal users, it's a per user license fee, right? So it varies from, you have a $49 per user per month plan all the way to a $99 per user per month plan, and people choose based on where they are in their journey, the complexity of their needs.
Yes, absolutely. How about the integrations? What do you see the most used integrations? Because this is a huge part of SaaS.
Yeah, I would say there is a pre, during, and post sort of set of integrations that we offer. Pre meaning, how does a project come into Rocketlane in the first place? Usually from your CRM. So we have integrations with Salesforce, HubSpot, etc. Out of the box, very beautiful integrations which let you have a two-way sync, so that even after you've sold into an account and it's being delivered on, the sales team can also get insight on how is the feedback from the customer, where are we in the process of delivering to this customer, etc. And then they can decide if it's going to be a better reference. During is, how do you work with other teams? So there's a Slack integration, there is a Jira
Yeah,
integration, etc. And then
yeah,
after is downstream systems like ERP systems, because we also manage invoicing, financials, etc. We are able to push information, get status on invoice, all of that with NetSuite or any of these like accounting platforms, etc. QuickBooks, Sage, and so on.
okay. And now I'm really curious about your take on the market because I know it's a highly competitive market and you have a lot of competitors and there are different verticals. Yeah, how do you see the market? How is Rocketlane different from the competitors and why should people choose it? When, in what cases?
See, I used to say we are the only option that is a combination of modern and mature. So either you have legacy competitors who haven't evolved with the times, clunky to use, very hard to set up.
Right.
People are usually like, hey, we're 2 years into implementation and here is what we've accomplished so far. And it's almost, you'd feel sorry for the experience they're going through. uh, and then there are modern tools which don't have the depth and breadth that they need. We are unique in that modern and mature. If there's a 2 by 2, I think we're in that top right over there. But I think more than just saying modern and mature, what I've come to realize is we're actually, why customers are partnering with us is because they see us as the next gen PSA. So it's modern, yes, and it has some special experiences like calendar integration for time tracking and automated status updates, and that's
Yeah.
all nice as an experience. But what is making it next gen is bringing in AI capabilities natively into the platform, having a very easy to configure, adopt, change sort of experience, having this beautiful branded customer portal which is way ahead of everyone else, having a separate module for partner participation in your projects, having like a native support for subscription type projects. Most tools in our space will have like time and material fixed fee, but the world has changed. People want to have recurring engagements with their clients and deliver on services in a recurring manner, and most of these tools don't support it out of the box. So a lot of things where the world has moved, we are helping teams with a solution that caters to today's needs, and that's why next gen, I feel, is the right way for us to say, hey, we're different because of that.
Amazing. I love your angle. And now let's get it totally opposite, the past. How did you come up with the idea for the company to launch it? What is the story of Rocketlane, starting with your co-founders? And yeah, we'd love to hear it.
So ours is a long partnership. So this is my second venture with the same co-founders. We
Okay.
did one previously, 2012 to 2015, in the messaging space. Even today, that product still powers a lot of chat, in-app chat, website chat, etc. Because it eventually got acquired by a company called Freshworks, and now it still exists. It's called Fresh Chat now.
Amazing.
Uh,
Congratulations.
we are still proud whenever we see the Fresh
Yes.
Chat messaging icon on like some website. We're like, oh, cool, they're still using us. Uh, and uh, we stayed at Freshworks for 4.5 years, learned a lot about running a SaaS business because that company scaled very drastically, did an IPO in 2021. The first SaaS company that started in India and did an IPO on Nasdaq. So
Yes.
we got to be part of something very special. Overall, that 7.5 year journey of building that startup and going into Freshworks, continuing to build that business, we reflected what could have been better in that journey. We identified a few areas. One of the areas was like, how did we feel about our implementation and onboarding projects, and what systems were people using? Thinking about it, it felt pretty broken, siloed in terms of number of tools we were using. It felt like a poor experience for the customer because very often they were feeling there was a black box around what we were doing till we sent out like a weekly status update or something. They were in the dark. A lot of anxiety on both sides whether things will actually happen on time. Will we launch on the committed dates, etc. uh, I would always hear reassurances from our team, and then there will be an escalation. Very hero
Yeah.
driven versus system driven. So it gave us a lot of thoughts around what could be different, what could be fixed, starting with that customer facing portal, of course, but how to make it more all in one, and how to make governance natively a part of the product versus something that just happens from dashboards. So all of that came together as an idea.
Amazing. Amazing. And how big is the team today? So you started with three co-founders in total?
Yes. Today we are a 160 member team.
Amazing. And what year was the company launched?
2020 June. So it's 4.5 years, a little over 4.5 years now.
Did you raise any funding? What's the story there?
Yeah, we raised close to 3 million in seed in 2020.
Okay.
We did a Series A 18 million in 2021, and we did a Series B 24 million in 2024. So, and we still had, I think, 60% of the Series A money in the bank when we did the Series B.
And
Grown pretty
2024 was a
efficiently.
hard year to raise, and you
Yeah,
still
yeah.
managed to do it.
Yeah, it was a preemptive round. We weren't necessarily seeking out a Series B at the time, but there's a few companies that were investors who got interested in the kind of growth we were showing, and the efficiency we had, the product love that they were seeing. A lot of their portfolio companies were using us. One thing led to the other. We got a few offers on the table, and then went ahead with that. And then there was, of course, the fantastic opportunity to release a nice rap song along with that funding news. So that
Yeah.
was really, really fun.
And what would be your best piece of advice for a SaaS company looking to raise today? Because we see it's kind of a hard time. The winners are still raising and doing more and scaling, but for the average, it's harder.
Yeah, I feel I think the market, especially, um, you know, I think the mature folks are seeing how AI can make a big difference. So I would say definitely focus your story on what you're doing with AI, and hopefully you're doing something that is going to be very impactful, not just force fitting AI into a feature, but rather, if you had to think AI first today, what would you do differently? Would you build a different product which can yield better efficiencies? I would say go back to the drawing board, think about where you want to invest your energy, because this is clearly an area that's become super important. And other than that, of course, I would say pick a huge market where you can have great impact, or a space. Either way, the TAM needs to be huge, and the business impact you can create needs to be real, because I think we are in a world now where everyone questions where spend is happening. Should I add one more tool? Should I build it using AI itself without going to a vendor? There are a lot of questions being asked. So do more and more research before you start the journey is my input on, making sure you're doing the right thing. Most of us start a venture when we are at the peak of our confidence, and you know which also means peak of your skills in a way usually, and you want to spend your best years on something that's going to give you great returns. So do that research, uh, de-risk every angle before you go to the investors, so that they have confidence that they're not making a huge bet, in terms of like huge risk by taking
Right.
the bet. Yeah.
And how did AI impact Rocketlane directly?
Yeah, I think there are very clear areas where we've started incorporating AI, but we're also building a second product which is AI first. So,
Okay.
uh, and that's slated for like a Q2, Q3 launch.
Okay.
More about it later, but
Yeah.
we're definitely taking it very seriously. And I think it's an advantage when you already have one successful product and a good amount of funding. You can go and make these big bets and try to succeed further.
Yeah, absolutely. What did you say was your biggest challenge that you had with Rocketlane so far, or your biggest learning that you want to share?
I think, in a way, biggest challenge was just the breadth and scope of what we took up is fairly large, which means, uh, for our teams, including the product team, including the go-to-market teams, learning all about all of these aspects of what we're doing, how it impacts businesses, educating. Let's say there's a new AE or a new customer success manager who joins us, uh, ensuring that they know the business, the product, the customer really, really well isn't easy, right? Because it's a complex product. So that has been the biggest area where we needed to figure out things. And I think we've done a great job now of putting together like a certification program internally, assembling some really good quality content and resources. Here are the calls you should listen to be able to learn well about the space, and doing more sessions and recording those sessions and making it available to the team. I think those are ways in which we've sort of de-risked this problem now.
Thank you for sharing this. How about the first customers? How did you find your first customers?
Yeah, so I think we did not launch an MVP. We launched a
Okay.
full featured product, and so we had a whole year where we were building product on one side, and I was doing a lot of one-on-one cold outreach, or whenever an investor would express interest to talk to us, I would ask for intros into their portfolio companies, or it would be through our investors or angels, say, hey, connect me to this person, that person. So around 120 companies that we had some meaningful conversations with, showcasing early versions of like prototypes and product and so on. We also
Okay.
built a community with more than 700 people by the time we launched. Uh,
Okay.
Not user community, but just people in the space, people who are in implementation, onboarding roles, etc., in different SaaS companies. So all of that was prep that was happening. Then when we launched, we also did a product hunt launch and our investment announcement on the same day.
Mm,
And that sort of played into each other, and there were a lot of signups coming.
yes.
There were these early people we had talked to that we went back to and said, hey, we are now available. Let's start chatting. And from these places, we started seeing some traction. I would say two-thirds was just from product hunt, one-third was from the conversations we had had earlier. But all those sign-ups and engagements, we started paying attention to who was coming our way beyond that, because it became inbound instead of outbound once we launched. And then we also started doing some Google ads, etc. early on. But the first 10 customers, I would say, just came from this product hunt launch plus PR announcement plus the 120 companies that we had been reaching out to before. We didn't chase them because once it started pouring in, we focused on who was already showing interest versus
Yes.
just going after folks who we had reached out to before.
Yeah, you had to be efficient. But did you raise without an MVP, just on the idea?
Yes. So because it was our second venture and because 2020, 2021 were like a different period for SaaS, I think it was a very hot market. We also had great credibility having built within Freshworks for 4.5 years. And so a lot of VC, folks looked up to Freshworks, what it was doing in the SaaS ecosystem and wanted to back founders coming out from there. So it was
Amazing.
easier for us back then.
Yes, absolutely. And today, what's the most successful go-to-market strategy that you use?
Today, from a pipeline standpoint, it's BDR outreach. From a closed revenue standpoint, it is still inbound, but I think that's shifting because outbound pipeline takes longer to close. So we'll see the impact of that this quarter, next quarter, etc. But definitely very, very promising in terms of the kind of logos that we are engaging with now through that outbound. And I would say events have also played a big role for us. So it's cold outreach plus uh, turning up in a big way at events. We hold our own conference as well called Propel. So we started outreach for that this year again. So and then local city-wise events, smaller dinner events, etc., that we do, where we invite very specific companies, very specific leaders, etc., to participate with us.
Okay, I appreciate that. And I love to know about your story. So basically, how you started your career, and also if you can share your best piece of advice for a starting founder. So let's say someone that just came out of a company, like works at Freshworks and wants to start their own business, or someone that just finished their studies.
Yeah, I would say again, I think I said it before, but spend as much time as possible on identifying the right market where you want to play in, which already has some momentum, has some proof that you can build a big business in that space, and there is money to be spent in that space, etc. Uh, think through your sales motion, who needs to be sold to, do they have budgets, all of those things as well, because I think we want to make sure that you're going after the right problem, going after the right people, validate everything before you write a line of code. That would be my best advice. My journey, of course, been doing startups since 2012. But before that, I was a product manager, first at Verizon and then at a company called Rediff.com, which was the first .com from India. And
Okay.
then startup called Jixi, where I was heading product. Uh, then, so I went from very large company to smaller, and then started up. So that's my journey.
Yeah, amazing. And I guess you prefer startups. It's your passion.
Absolutely. I love the, energy and intensity of creating something out of nothing and the feeling of winning together as a team against the odds, I think, and till it starts becoming like we are destined to win, and then keeping that motivation and momentum going from there again. So
Yeah,
different kinds of challenges, but
I love it.
very
Yeah.
fun.
Last question I have for you, Sri. I'm curious about your favorite software that you use. If you have some SaaS products, AI products that you'd recommend to the community, apart from
Interesting
Rocketlane.
one. Yeah. So I think some of those which I've come across recently, I'm going to mention some of them are also being built by friends of mine, so I may have some bias, but
Yeah.
uh, I see Revenue Hero, Factors.ai, Everstage in the go-to-market side. Two tools that we hadn't even heard about before, but we've adopted at Rocketlane recently, which seem very interesting. One is called yes.ai, YESS, and another is called Bluebird. So I
Mm-hmm.
think there's a lot of interesting work that people are doing, and we're happy to try out these new tools and see how it helps us. Of course, I think we've been using Clay for a while now, and it's been fantastic as well. So a lot of interesting startups out there.
Perfect. Then those are my questions. If you want to share anything else on the podcast, that this would be the moment. But yeah, we reached the final part.
Yeah, I think the only other thing I would share is uh, happy to be helpful in any way. If any of you watching the show are starting new, I believe it in paying it forward. And I also believe at every stage we have something to offer to someone else. So I may not be like the expert at all of the things, but maybe I can add my thoughts to like a problem you're trying to solve, or I can point you to someone who can help you. So feel free to reach out on LinkedIn, etc. Srikrishnan Ganesan. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dan. It was amazing, and I'm glad that you are so helpful for the community. Thank you for that, and looking forward to meeting in person one day.
Perfect. Thanks, Christian. Likewise.